Hello, everyone. Welcome back again to our supply chain management series. I promised I was going to do some sample questions. I found that my students have problem with, and I think you're going to benefit a lot from this. It's going to be a short video. My name, as usual, is Dr. Iya Basi. I want to thank you so much for your support all this while. Our videos have reached 5,000 views. I just can't believe it. It's exploding. And I just want to say thank you so much. Without you, I couldn't have gone this far. And I just want to say, please, if you have not subscribed, try to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, write a nice comment. If you don't have time to write a comment, you can just give us a smiling emoji, and encourage us. Let's know we are doing something good. If you do have a question, please don't forget, write your question down in the chat box. I'll get back to it later. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is to learn how to calculate our months of stock. We're going to practice it, and let us just pretend that you are the director or you're a district officer in charge of some testing sites, some facilities where they do some tests. And first of all, we need to have our data that shows recent monthly consumption over 3 months. I've recorded here October, November, December. Then we have to know our average monthly consumption. What amount do you use over a period, of time? That is, in this case, what are you using per month? Okay. And then you need to know your total stock on hand. How much of stock do you have? Okay. Then we want to know how to then calculate our months of stock because we are interested in knowing how long, you know, our stock is going to take us in terms of months. So that is why we are so interested in months of stock. I've tried to do the first three as examples. I will leave the rest for you to calculate after I have done the examples, but don't worry, we'll get back to it and you can now cross-check your own answers with mine and see if you've done the right thing. All right. So let's look at example one. I want to calculate my average monthly consumption for example one. In October, 14 tests were carried out, November, 12 tests, December 15 tests. What I will do, I will add 14, 12, and 15 together and divide the amount I get by 3. That should give me 14. Please, if you do have a fraction, you can actually round it up, which is what I have actually done now. So some of you may have 14.6 and all that. Round it up or round it down, to give you the correct value. So what is my total stock on hand? What is the total number of test kits I have at hand? So I would add from facility A 5 plus 4, I think that is 9, plus 2 will give me 11. That is my total stock on hand. For me to be able to calculate the month of stock, all I will do is to divide my stock on hand by the average monthly consumption, which we had already calculated, and that will give me 0.8 months of stock. Do we get that? So let's get to 2. What do? We add 365 with 332 and 352. We'll have an average, if you divide by 3, of 350. You add all the data you have for the testing sites together, that gives you about 441. Divide your stock on hand by your average monthly consumption, that will give 0.3. The same thing you do, So I want you to just keep doing that and fill up this table. All right. So let me see. Let me see what you will do. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. It's very, 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 very simple. Okay, so if you have done that successfully, you should have something that looks like this. You can press the pause button and compare what you have with what I have. You should have something like this. So if you have this kind of answer, I would like to say congratulations. At least I am assured you can calculate months of stock if you are given that kind of problem. All right? So this is it. I've used the same method all through and gotten the answers that I've gotten. So let's move to the next question. So we are moving now from that simple mathematics to something a bit more complex. Now we have a real situation where we would like to order for HIV kits. It's not just as straight as the former one because you need to take some managerial supply chain decisions, all right? So the question goes, with the data given below, calculate the quantity of BDFAX count reagent kits. Each kit contains 50 tests that you need to order if the maximum stock level for the product is 5 months and you have an emergency order point of 1 month. 1 carton of 3,000 tests was ordered and has not yet been received. So the balance you have at hand is as at April 1, 2022, was 3,850 tests. So these are the data that we have. That is the data we have from April 2021 up to March 2022. Okay, and now we need to make order. So what do we do? Manager, I'm waiting for you. What are you going to do? All right. So, what's the solution to this? The first thing you need to do is to pick the data from the most recent 3 months. So, what's the data from the most recent 3 months? That will be January, February, and March. So, that is what I'm going to do. I'll pick the data from the most recent 3 months, January, February, and March. Okay. Then what do I do next? I'm going to calculate my average monthly consumption, just like I did in the first one. So what are we going to do? We are going to add the data from January, February, and March, and it's going to give us 7,638 reagents, okay? If I divide that by 3 months, it will give me 2,546, an average of 2,546 monthly CD tests. So that's an average of what is being consumed per month. So with this data, I can now move forward to start calculating my reorder quantity. Okay, how am I going to do that? I'm going to say that my average monthly consumption, which is 256, times my max, which is 5 months. That is going to give me about 12,840 tests. So moving at this average monthly consumption, this is the highest amount of tests my facility can take. So you know that if your average monthly consumption is high, your max will be high because we are looking at it in terms of what month. If your average monthly consumption is low, your max will also be correspondingly low. Okay, so having had the highest amount of tests I should have in my facility, how do I know what to order? I know that my test at this average monthly consumption must not exceed 12,840. And if you remember in the question, as at April 1, 2022, I had 3,850 tests with me. That's the balance on hand. So I have to remove that because I already have that on hand. And remember that I had made an emergency order for about 3,000 of those tests, I have to also remove that 3,000 from my max. So if I do that, my order quantity will be about 5,990. Remember that each kit contains 50, so I cannot actually order for 5,990 tests. I will have to do that in multiples of what? 50. So what I will do is I will round it up, and that will give me 6,000 test kits. If I divide 6,000 by 50, it will be approximately 120 kits. So what I'm actually going to order for my facility is 120 kits. Do we understand? If you do understand, just put in the comment, I understand, and give us a like. Thank you. So let's look at another question. Okay, sorry, before we look at another question, sometimes you may have data that is not straightforward. You could have a particular month where you like have zero, probably because maybe the program closed or there was a holiday or something. That is not a typical data. So what you are supposed to do is that you pick 3 typical data. Like from here, what we'll do is to pick December 2021, January, we'll jump March, or we'll jump February because February is not typical, and then we'll pick March. Okay, that is what we will use for our calculations. Do you understand? So once you do that, your answer may be different from what I had, but if you follow the same steps, I think you will get to the right answer. So another aspect we are going to look at is setting the first ordering max and min levels. These are hypothetical situations. We are going to look at those situations. They happen sometimes, but this one is hypothetical. So as a manager, how are you going to deal with these situations you find yourself? For instance, let's look at this situation number 1. You're the supply officer for a regional warehouse, and you know that every 4 months you have to review your laboratory commodity stock level and prepare an order request to send to the central warehouse. So from the time that you have to deliver your order request to the time you receive the lab products is usually 1 month. All right? Does that sound familiar? That sounds like a word we should be knowing soon, or we should have known since, sometimes a little less. So it takes about a day to record the stock entry and put away the stock for use. So the central warehouse will fill orders at times other than the 4-month review period, but even those rush orders take about 3 to 4 weeks to arrive. That is another thing you should know. A rush order, a rush order. I'm sure you're getting the answer by now. So how would you set your maximum, your minimum, your emergency order points levels for your warehouse? Remember, first of all, let me just give you an expo. It's a small expo. From the time you deliver your request to the time you receive the lab products is 1 month, sometimes a little less. And you just take a day to record it and put the stock away. That means you have made it ready for use. That sounds like lead time to me. So your lead time is going to be like 1 month, okay? And then they also said that even the rush orders take 3 to 4 weeks to arrive. When do you make a rush order in the first ordering system? That is when you have an emergency order point. And that takes about 3 to 4 weeks. So your emergency order point should be about 1 month. Because if you round up well, 4 weeks is about 1 month. So that would be your emergency order point. See, I have started telling you the answers. So if you do know that, you should know that your review period, I'm going to set out the things we need to calculate your marks, your mean, and other things. So first and very important, your review period is 4 months. That is from that question. I didn't take it from anywhere else. Let's go back there. Every 4 months you review. So your review period is 4 months. Your lead time is 1 month. The safety stock, which is half of the review period, should be 2 months. Then your minimum should be your lead time plus your safety stock. So you have 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Then your max should be your minimum, which is 3 months, plus your review stock, which is 4 months. That should give you 7. Then your emergency order point is 1 month. I have already explained that. You see, this is so simple. Just get the steps right, all right? So let's move to another question since we've done this one. So you are, it's another hypothetical situation. Anyway, you are the district laboratory focal person and your system has been changed from a push to a pull system. I hope we do remember what is a push and a pull system. I just want to believe that we do. All right. So that the laboratories will now be submitting orders to you. The review period is monthly. That means your review period is 1 month per instructions from the National Director of the Laboratory Services. And you know that under the old system, which was the system, 2 weeks after you determined your issue quantity, the orders were packed and ready to go out. You also know that some of the rural clinics have experienced problems in getting their reports to you because of the mail. So we did taking up to 2 weeks to get the report from the clinic to you. Currently, there is no problem with transporting reagents to the clinic, and the packed shipments only take about a day to arrive. As in the past, you can dispatch product immediately in urgent situation based on a telephone request from the clinic. So in this situation, how would you set your maximum, your minimum, and your emergency order points for laboratories? So you are the director, your system has been changed from a push, which you were the ones issuing, now to a pull system. You have to wait for feedback from the different SDPs to be able to know what to send to them. Your review period is 1 month, like I've already said. And under the old system, you just did about 2 weeks and you have sent whatever you need to send. But this time around, because it has been changed from a push to a pull system, you have to wait for the SDPs, to like send a mail to you. And because of certain problems, it takes like 2 weeks for you to get that report from the clinic. All right. Once you get that report, you can now send the shipment. The pack shipment will take about a day to arrive. All right. So with that, and with that data in hand, what is our solution to finding the max, min, and emergency order point for this system? Your review month is 1 month. Your lead time is 1 month because the mail has to get to you. And then when it gets to you, you need about 2 weeks to look through it, package whatever is needed and send. All right. So lead time is 1 month. Then your safety stock is half of the review period, which is half month. Your minimum will be your lead time plus your safety stock, which is 1 month plus half month, which will give you 1.5 months. Usually we like to be conservative, so we round it up immediately to 2. All right. So your max now will now be your mean plus your review period stock, which is just 2 plus 1. That's 3 months. And your emergency order point, remember that story says that even on a rush hour, it just takes a day. There's no problem with transportation. It takes just 1 day to reach the clinic. And like I said, we are very conservative, so we will not say 0. We'll say 1 week. We give them about 1 week, our emergency order point. So when you have stock that will last for only 1 week, you can actually make an emergency order point before the review. All right, so let's get to another one. This is another hypothetical situation, and the max min levels for the district storeroom has to be set. You are currently asked to submit orders on a quarterly basis. What does quarterly mean? Every 3 months. Okay. So in looking at your inventory control card and your copies of requisition and issue vouchers, you found out the following: that the last quarter you received the stock 1 week after sending the order. Then the quarter before that, you received stock 2 weeks after sending in the order. And then the quarter before that, you did not receive stock because the regional warehouse truck had broken down. So you now had to send your own truck at the end of after waiting for about the first 2 weeks of the quarter to go. You found out the truck wasn't coming, you sent your own truck, and it took about 2 weeks for the truck, your own truck, to get to the region and obtain the necessary approval, pick up stock, and return to the district. So the quarter before that, you received stock after sending in the order. Usually, if you're going to calculate your lead time, you're going to use the longest time it took for that stock to reach you. All right. So having that in mind, how would you set your max, your mean, and your emergency order point levels for the district officer? All right, Oga Manager, let me see what you want to do. So what is our review period? Quarterly, 3 months. Lead time, 1 month. Safety stock, half of the review period, that's 1.5 months. Your minimum will be your lead time, 1 month, plus your safety stock, 1.5 months, to give you 2.5 months. We like being conservative. We round it up to 3 months. Your max will now be your mean plus your review period stock, which is about 3 plus 1 month. That will give you 4 months. Your emergency order point will be about 2 weeks, since it takes like your own truck to go there, get the necessary approvals, and come back in 2 weeks. So we choose an emergency order point of 2 weeks. So you see that these things, if you just practice them, if you do understand the principles behind them, they are so easy to calculate and to help you take decisions you need to take. So I want to thank you so much for listening. Take care. Till we see again. So bye-bye from me. Thank you very, very much. Bye. Bye-bye. Take care. I'll see you again soon. Bye.